I'm Lindsay France, this is Boom Bust, and this is what I've got coming at you today. Bitcoin is more precious than gold today as investors wait on the Security and Exchange Commission's decision to pass a Bitcoin-traded fund. And what a way to start the weekend. Snapchat's IPO is blazing a trail, racking up millions upon millions for one California school. Also, it's been revealed that the Department of Education's college scorecard website had a massive glitch and published student debt rates that are way lower than reality. Stand by, it starts now. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen says interest rates are likely to be raised later this month. During its March 14th and 15th meeting here in Washington, she says the committee will evaluate whether employment and inflation are continuing to evolve in line with the expectations, which would indicate further adjustment of the federal funds. The Fed last lifted its benchmark rate back in December. Well, it's a first in Bitcoin's short history as it shoots past the price of an ounce of gold. Its upward trend held up Friday with Bitcoin rising to $1,289.09 per unit, while its fellow safe place gold dropped to $1,231.50 per ounce. Now, this time last year, the price of one Bitcoin was around $420. The value now floats around $1,200, more than tripling in the last 12 months. Gold, however, has been trading around the same price as it was 1 year ago. Even when we see Bitcoin surge to record highs, there's always skeptics out there that do nothing but roll their eyes. But now that the cryptocurrency has surpassed gold, could they be dismissing the bigger picture? Boom Bust Bianca Facchinei has the details.
There aren't many similarities between gold and Bitcoin. The former is a precious metal that's been around for hundreds of years, with trading data tracing back to the early 1900s. The latter is a digital currency that's been around for less than 10 years and still manages to confuse people. Regardless of all the differences, the two have been closely watched by analysts and investors as the price is near parity. But on Friday, we witnessed more than that, with Bitcoin exceeding the price of gold. As you'll notice, the past 3 years have been pretty consistent for gold and rather volatile for Bitcoin. You'll also see that it was right around the end of 2016 that the elusive cryptocurrency started making gains. Up until mid-December, it was hovering between $700 and $800. A few days before the new year, it hit $978, nearing its highest since before the infamous Mt. Gox scandal. We did see a drop in early January of this year, but after that, Bitcoin has continued on an upward climb. It's left digital currency enthusiasts excited, while cynics are still feeling unimpressed, placing the blame on nothing more than a bad week for gold. Others are pointing to the difference in market caps, which is certainly something to consider too. But digital currency has become more accepted and understood, and most exchanges have learned their lesson since Mt. Gox. That suggests that Bitcoin could be in for more than a quick rally or two.
Well, what are some of the reasons behind this huge surge we're seeing for Bitcoin?
Well, there are a few possible reasons why. The first, we can look directly to China. That's where most Bitcoin exchanges take place, and also where the government happened to implement capital controls. So it would make sense why people are turning to Bitcoin, because they're having trouble getting money out of the country for, international investments and so forth. But the second reason is just a more general feeling of global uncertainty. After the UK voted to leave the EU, which was a surprise, President Trump was elected, which was a surprise, and the possibility of other shock elections happening in Europe and throughout the world, it's leaving people feeling uncertain, and therefore the traditional investments just aren't as attractive anymore.
Well, there's also something that you've talked about a number of times, is this sort of war on cash, going digital, and it seems to be pushing people toward this. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, there's no direct correlation, so saying that is speculative, but we're seeing demonetization in India, which we've talked about several times. Same thing in Venezuela. In the EU, there are leaders that are trying to push for a more cashless society. And as a result, instead of just turning to more credit cards and more debit cards, and people still want that anonymity, they're going to turn to Bitcoin or other sort of anonymous cryptocurrency. So it would be an interesting thing to see if people are like, you know what, instead of just going about the way the government wants us to go, which is easier for them to track our payments, we might just turn to Bitcoin. So then it would end up being more of a problem for the government that thinks they could easily track crime or terrorism that way.
Did you see the Winklevoss twins are in on the Bitcoin thing? They're one of 3 organizations pushing for it to get that fund approved by the Securities and Exchange Commissions, and of course they're from Facebook. Do you think that adds any sort of drama to this entire sort of landscape? Any extra attention?
I guess. I mean, they've been involved in the Bitcoin game for a while now, and I think they're very excited that it's gaining traction. So they know that they've been associated with the movement for a while, but now that it's starting to pick up, I think we're going to probably hear a little more about them in the headlines than we have been over the past year or two.
Right. They're trying to get in on the ground floor of something and keep it theirs. Thank you very much, Boom Bust Bianca Facchinei.